Everyone who has ever lived in a cold region is familiar with snowstorms. Sometimes there is adequate warning from the weather forecast. However, other times these storms catch us off guard. Roads are difficult to keep clear. Schools are closed. Activities are postponed. Planes are delayed. And everyone is stuck shoveling snow. There are, nevertheless, very few snowstorms that outperform all predictions, shatter all records, and produce massive destruction even if the destruction is temporary and will disappear in a few days or weeks. These storms are the worst of the worst. They are weather occurrences that resemble icy blasts of pure winter more than they do an easy combination of wind, temperature, and precipitation. It can be difficult to categorize the 10 biggest snowstorms. Some students in Moscow may be packing an extra pair of socks for class in the event of a blizzard that would paralyze New York City. Likewise, a lot of history that has been preserved involves grandparents telling their grandchildren, "You think this storm is bad? You should have seen the one that trapped us in our cabin the winter I turned 11. Having said that, there are other indicators than snowfall volume that we can use to gauge how severe a snowstorm is. The Northeast Snowfall Impact Scale (NESIS) was developed in 2004 to categorize snowstorms in the northeastern United States in a manner similar to how the Fujita scale assesses tornadoes and the Saffir-Simpson scale categorizes hurricanes. NESIS calculates a single number that represents a storm's severity, typically in a range from 1 to 10, but occasionally higher. NESIS takes into account the fact that occasionally the deadliest storms in the Northeast feature very small snowfalls that are driven into zero visibility by hurricane force winds. Some storms are more severe than others because they affect big urban areas or are so extensive that they affect many major urban regions. A storm that strikes during rush hour on a weekday can cause havoc in a way that a storm that strikes on a Saturday morning won't. And a surprise early storm while leaves are still on the trees can inflict a great deal of damage. Keeping those considerations in mind, here's our list of the biggest snowstorms ever, in no particular order. Number 10. The Great Blizzard of 1888. Northeastern United States. The Northeast was slammed by one of the deadliest blizzards in American history on March 11, 1888. This storm was severe in every way. It dumped a ton of snow. It was bitterly cold. And it was accompanied by howling winds that caused snow drifts to reach heights of 30 to 40 feet, 9.1 to 12.1 meters. Due to the storm's size, it completely enveloped the northeastern United States, from New England to the Chesapeake Bay, covering important urban centers including New York City. Over 400 people perished in the storm, including over 100 who perished at sea. The storm, which occurred in the first few days of March, began as an intense downpour. The temperature fell and the rain turned to snow from Sunday night to Monday morning. In the end, New York City got 55 inches, 1.4 meters of snow, which caused the city to be closed down and led to flooding when the snow melted. Keene, New Hampshire, received up to 36 inches, 0.9 meters, while New Haven, Connecticut, received 45 inches, 1.1 meters. Number 9. The Storm of the Century, 1993. Eastern United States. More snow and wind were released than ever before by a storm that raced up the east coast of the United States in early March 1993. From eastern Canada to southern Alabama, significant snowfalls were seen. About half of the U.S. was affected. Portions of 26 states were affected. Many major cities' populations were impacted. From Chattanooga, Tennessee, to Asheville, North Carolina, all-time snowfall records were set in these cities. 60 inches, 1.5 meters of snow fell on Mount LeCote in Tennessee. There were many weather records broken by this storm. Even Daytona Beach, Florida, felt the impacts, recording a low of 31 degrees Fahrenheit minus 0.56 degrees Celsius, breaking the previous record low temperature of minus 12 degrees Fahrenheit minus 24.4 degrees Celsius set in Burlington, Vermont. Compared to Atlanta, which received 4 inches 10.2 centimeters of snow. Birmingham, Alabama, received more than 17 inches 43 centimeters. Further north, the amount of snowfall was greater. Syracuse, New York, for instance, received more than 40 inches 1.02 meters. The most snowfall was experienced in mountainous regions of the Catskills and Appalachians. Damage was caused as far north as Nova Scotia and as far south as Florida due to high winds, which were a serious problem. In New Hampshire, winds with a top speed of 144 miles per hour, 231.7 kilometers per hour have been recorded. Meteorologists assigned this storm a 5 on the NESA scale, or extreme, based on storm surge and barometric pressure data. Number 8. New York City blizzard of 2006. In comparison to earlier significant snowstorms, the one that hit New York City on February 11, 2006, was less intense and had lower wind speeds. This, though, was a doozy in terms of snowfall. The amount of snow that fell on the city was close to 27 inches 68.5 centimeters, which at the time broke the previous record by an inch. The blizzard shut down Kennedy International, LaGuardia, and Newark Liberty International airports, knocked out electricity for millions, and ground to a halt all kinds of transportation. Just short of the greatest snowfall ever recorded in the park's history, the weather station at New York's Central Park Zoo measured a total of 26.9 inches 68.3 centimeters of snow. Number 7. Lhans County, Tibet, 2008. Some of the tallest mountains in the world, including Mount Everest, are found in Tibet. Although the winters can be very chilly there, the environment is often very desert. Due to the infrequent snowfall in the Himalayas, several passes are open all year round. Because of this, the snowstorm that impacted Lhans County in October 2008 came as a surprise to its residents. A snow depth of 59 inches 1.5 meters was reported by Chinese officials. According to China Daily, some communities saw 36 hours of non-stop snowfall, which dumped 5 to 6 feet 1.52 to 1.83 meters of snow on the land. Roads in Lhans were blocked or ruined by the heavy snowfall, trapping many residents within collapsed buildings. Over 144,000 cattle heads perished in the storm, and 7 people were also slain. As rescue teams worked to clear them and deliver supplies to storm-trapped individuals, roads were closed for days. Number 6. Mount Shasta, California, 1959. Approximately 15.7 feet 4.8 meters of snow fell on Mount Shasta between February 13 and February 19, 1959. That amount of snow fell in one continuous snowstorm, which was a record for North America at the time. The record stood until the beginning of the 1990s. The lack of satellite images and atmospheric measurements has made it difficult for meteorologists to analyze this particular storm. However, according to research that was published in the Journal of Operational Meteorology and used local records, the 1959 storm saw 6 days of non-stop snowfall at the Old Ski Bowl, with an average accumulation of 2.6 feet 80 centimeters each day. Mountain routes were blocked off, and snow drifts as high as 24 feet 7.3 meters were frequent. 4.1 feet 1.25 meters of significant snow also fell at Mount Shasta, a city that is 6,302 feet 1,921 meters lower in elevation than the Old Ski Bowl. Local Mount Shasta businesses suffered structural damage as a result of the snow, and local transit was completely shut down for several days. Number 5. The Eastern Canadian blizzard of 1971. From March 3 to March 5, 1971, a March nor'easter affected parts of eastern Canada, resulting in classic blizzard conditions everywhere. Montreal received 16.8 inches 43.2 centimeters of snow in just 24 hours. Quebec saw rainfall of up to 32 inches 80 centimeters in some places. However, More than only snow was responsible for the collapse of these Canadian communities. Heavy gusts from this storm destroyed visibility and whipped snow into the air. Due to the terrible circumstances, many individuals were left stuck on roadways, in pubs, and in their offices when workers and schools were let off early. There were more than 30 fatalities as a result of the circumstances and the extremely low temperatures. Even the hockey game between the Montreal Canadiens and Vancouver Canucks was postponed. Number 4. The Iran blizzard of 1972. Iran was hit by a blizzard on February 3, 1972, which killed over 4,000 people and destroyed 200 communities. Iran was almost completely buried in snow during the 5-day storm. Snowdrifts up to 26 feet 8 meters deep in some places literally buried people. The deadliest blizzard in recorded history killed at least 4,000 peasants from the Ardekan region in southern Iran. Several factors contributed to the high death toll. Around -13 degrees Fahrenheit, -25 degrees Celsius in daily average temperatures. Numerous individuals stranded in remote locations finally ran out of food and clean water, or they froze because they had no heat. Number 3. The Great Snow of 1717, New England. The Great Snow of 1717 was actually a series of 4 storms that occurred over the course of 11 days in late February and early March of that year. The extent of the consequences is unknown because colonial New England's record-keeping practices were not always reliable. Even Philadelphia experienced heavy snowfall, but Boston was the most hit. When the Great Snow started, there had reportedly already been 5 feet 1.5 meters of snow on the ground. According to sources, the total was increased by 3 or 4 extra feet, 91.4 or 122 centimeters. In a sheep pasture, Cotton Mather recorded drifts that were 16 feet 4.8 meters high, and single-story homes that were totally covered with snow. Livestock, including deer, lambs, horses, and cows, perished in great numbers, and orchards suffered severe damage. Few colonists had barns, so some turned to bringing their animals inside to shelter them from the storm. Number 2. The Buffalo Blizzard of 1977. On January 27, 1977, a winter storm warning was issued for the region by the National Weather Service. However, on January 28 things had become worse, and nobody knew how terrible they would get. 3 big snowfalls had already occurred in Buffalo: 31.3 inches 79.5 centimeters in November, 60.7 inches 1.5 meters in December, and 59.1 inches 1.5 meters in the first 27 days of January. By January 28, wind gusts reached 74 to 111 kilometers per hour, causing wind chills to reach -59.8 degrees Fahrenheit, -51 degrees Celsius. Homes were engulfed by huge snowdrifts. Roads became impassable due to the snow and strong winds. Zero visibility. The only means of transportation allowed by the police was snowmobiles. People were stranded by the storm's extreme cold at their workplaces, schools, or, worse yet, in their cars. For assistance with clearing snow, the National Guard had to be called. The result of these circumstances, and let's face it, Buffalo is accustomed to snow, was 29 fatalities. Canada and Watertown, New York towards the east also saw storm effects. Number 1. Great Texas Snowstorm of 2021. Many of the states and cities are accustomed to harsh winter conditions. However, not Texas. Texans were therefore unprepared for what happened as a powerful Arctic cold front moved over the state on February 14, 2021. Snow and sleet started to fall as soon as the bitter cold set in. Even while the snowfall was not very significant, majority of south-central Texas received around an inch 2.5 centimeters, while regions close to I-35 received between 3 and 8 inches 7.6 and 20.3 centimeters. Roads rapidly became impassable. The wind chill dropped into the single digits or the teens, with temperatures falling considerably lower. Along the Texas coast, More sleet and snowy winter weather persisted. Lows were recorded in Galveston at 20 degrees Fahrenheit -6.6 degrees Celsius. Houston at 13 degrees Fahrenheit -10 degrees Celsius. And College Station at 5 degrees Fahrenheit -15 degrees Celsius. The state experienced significant power disruptions that lasted for many days due to the ice and intense weather. And so, what do you think of this episode? You can suggest new topics in the comment box below, and we'll try to cover it in our next episodes. Please subscribe to Weather Collapse if you want to know more and be updated on the latest news about natural calamities or disasters happening all over the world. And don't forget to like today's video. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.